1 week ago, my community found out that we had lost 3 teenagers in a horrific car accident. It was rumored to be drug and alcohol related. 8 months ago, the same community lost a teenager to a drug overdose of Xanax. One evening she went to bed, the next morning she never woke up. I personally understand what it's like to use drugs and alcohol at a young age, for I had begun my use at the age of 12, as did most of the friends. Fortunately for me, I recovered from drug addiction and alcoholism in 2001. However, I was reminded of a story of a best friend of mine, Susan. Susan was admitted to an alcohol and drug treatment center in high school. Her friends, us girls, patiently waited for Susan to be released on her final day. We used it as a celebration, a party. We took the road trip, we picked her up from treatment, and we proceeded to take her out that evening and get drunk. I don't know if Susan stood a chance at sobriety that day, for she was immediately thrusted into the same peer group that she had been with prior to going to treatment. But what if she did have a chance? What if a 15-year-old who gets admitted to a treatment center and goes there for 30 days has a chance after treatment to stay sober, to return without additional peer pressure, to not have to go to the same home that perhaps addiction and alcoholism lives in? What if, by avoiding this, that teenager is given a chance at years of sobriety and are able to avoid horrendous consequences such as long-term addiction and in some cases even death? It's 25 years later from when I drank and used at the age of 12, over 25 years. Today there are different options. I'm excited today to talk to you about one of those options called recovery schools and how they aid in our society and help our kids live another life. Did you know in the state of Washington in 2015, 34,000 adolescents were admitted to treatment centers? And upon leaving these treatment centers, these kids are faced with tremendous challenges. They have to reestablish a peer group, a sober peer group. Very difficult returning to the same high school that they come from. They have to go back to those same households, sometimes riddled with alcoholism and addiction. And at the very least, having to face the relationships that they wrecked prior to going into treatment. And last, they expected to live healthy lifestyles without alcohol or drugs. These are challenges even for an adult leaving a treatment center, let alone a child. So what are their options? What are their options? Research done by Collier, Hilliker, and Adwabuzzi in the Journal of Groups in Addiction and Recovery found that an adolescent after leaving treatment is 70% likely to relapse. 70% likely. That statistic I gave you of 34,000 that are in treatment, that statistic was provided by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration. So what are their options after they leave a treatment center? One of the most familiar options we have is Alcoholics Anonymous, a large organization consisted of thousands of meetings worldwide that people can go to experience long-term sobriety. However, even the Alcoholics Anonymous organization admits that although AA meetings are highly effective, only 1% of its membership is 21 years of age and younger. The kids don't keep going back to the meetings. The primary reason? They do not relate to the stories. However, there is one other hope. In the research article titled, One Size Doesn't Fit All, Doctors Dietrich, Rundelkiel, Leo, and Connor explain there is an urgent need to understand our adolescent drinking cultures, and a school-based delivery offers an efficient and attractive way to reach hundreds of adolescents. This is good news. Perhaps what is even better news is that this school delivery option has already been initiated in what I would like to talk to you about next, called recovery schools. Recovery schools are a school within a school where an adolescent can go after they leave treatment. The curriculum is catered to their sobriety, and it gives them an opportunity to get back on track academically. They are only around peers of the same age going through similar troubles. Every one of them had to maintain a certain minimum amount of sobriety in order to even be admitted. They are provided meetings throughout the day that they can attend when they're struggling. It's highly suggested that they get a sponsor or a mentor when they leave. In his research article titled, "Recovery Schools Save Addicts, Why Aren't They Everywhere?" Joseph Erdenbrow defines a recovery school as a learning atmosphere conducive to the long-term recovery of adolescents suffering with substance abuse. He asks a very good question. Why aren't they everywhere? The answer is simple. It's money. In the United States, the funding up to this point for our recovery schools has supported 37 schools in the entire United States. Do you remember the statistic I gave earlier? Just in the state of Washington alone in 2015, 34,000 adolescents were admitted to treatment with a 70% chance likelihood of relapse. And we only have 37 schools. I have an agenda today with you folks. My agenda is to ask you for something. Something that's going to mean a lot to these kids, and it's something that's going to help our society. I'm here asking you today to reach into your pockets and make a donation to the recovery schools. If you reflect back, do you remember a news article you read or a conversation with a coworker where you found out that someone's child was suffering from addiction and you didn't know what to say? Or you felt overwhelmed or just quite disgusted by the whole thing? You didn't know what to do about it? What if instead today you could turn around and say, you know what? I donated to this fabulous cause called recovery schools, and I encourage you to do the same thing. I will guarantee you this, by making this donation today to a wonderful cause, you will never look back on this moment and say to yourself, I wish I would have never done that.